focus of your camera, the targeting of your abilities, all that stuff, and those things are paramount importance for PvP. We wanted to nail that, and those will also work with PvP, or PvP, rather. So that's one of the main reasons. And iterating the system. So we're going to be giving you guys, the first system for combat, all the things that we've talked about previously in the keynote, and we wanted to start working on that stuff, start getting your guys' feedback as soon as we possibly could, because we value your guys' feedback and want to hear from you. I kind of want to make a note that when PvP, when you guys get your hands on fighting, we are aware that it's a little faster paced than we're really aiming for. I think the buzzword around the office is that we want to make it a little bit less twitch and a little bit more tactical. So just so you guys are aware, that is something that we're looking at, and we're going to be iterating on that. So we look forward to your guys' feedback on that very point.
There's a fine line between twitchy and exciting, and we want to get that so that it's accessible to everybody who wants to play. But also, we have no intention of including things like headshots and things like that you need to have pinpoint precision to be able to do, and Steve Clues would allow us to do that anyway. So.
Just code.
You're right. It's just code. Apparently, it's really hard.
So that's one of the main reasons, and also in Landmark PvP, in quotes there, it is more than just fighting each other. And Darren's actually going to touch on this more, but with game master objects and stuff like that, the PvP is not necessarily getting in and killing each other. It means significantly more, and we'll discuss that. So, in a game with no classes, right, no levels, you pick your stuff from the item you equip. You are, in fact, what you equip. And we'll explain all what that means throughout this panel. But what you can see here is the first three items you're going to get are your soldier's blade, your marksman's bow, and your conjurer's staff. And you get your effectiveness in combat from those items. Obviously, what you get is your abilities. Dave talked about this, but I'm going to go into it in a little more detail. Your main ability is attached to your left mouse button, and your alternate ability is on your right mouse button. The camera mode, when you put on an item, the camera mode will change. And it will allow you to camera look without putting the right mouse button down. And then you'll use the way you can move. And so that's how we're starting out with this structure. We really wanted to do this because, we actually tried a lot of different things, and it's just what felt right. It's what was the simplest thing to allow you guys to use your abilities to move properly, and it really kind of highlights the rope movement. It allows you to move in all sorts of creative ways. And I'll talk about some of the fun ways that you have to move these items kind of as we get to.
One of the things that we're not really addressing or talking too much about that you saw within the demos and you saw Dave's keynote is we're going with a different targeting mechanism than you're probably used to. And that's because our world is 3D. And I know a lot of games tout they are 3D, but you've got to build it like a people. How are you going to blow the bridge up if you can't target it? You can't look up and blow the bridge up. And we have lots of examples of how a tab-based targeting system wouldn't work with our abilities and our ability to manipulate the world, to have the world be destructible and have you have effect on the world. And it was very, very important for us to find a camera system that was both easy to use, intuitive, and allows you to access the world in all the dimensions.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things is getting in and kind of playing with the wizard for EPNX, right? And saying, hey, I walk up to an area and I look at a spot and I blow it up with other people. And that's a really cool feeling and something that the camera can allow us to do. As I said previously, we might be adding more abilities, there might be more things there. And that's kind of up to you guys and up to playing, right? Is two abilities enough to get you out there and have an interesting tactical combat scenario? And so we might be adding more. We will definitely be taking a look at that, and we'll get into some of the other things that give you combat builds later on. So something important to say or to touch on is when we create a weapon, we create it as a package deal, right? So Dave spoke about having a fire sword and having a fire sword and shield, and how they're different when they're together. All of these items do come as a set, so you'll it'll have the fire sword and shield set, and it's a package deal. It is designed specifically to make you feel a certain way when you're playing. We'll talk about the feelings and flavors of the weapons that you're showing. So the Marksman's bow, it is designed to make you feel sort of like a sniper, right? It's the longest range weapon released initially. The two abilities that allow you to feel like a sniper are these. Quick shot, which is your standard arrow shot. But then sniper's mark. So this ability is super cool. You can stand back. It has pretty long range, it's like 45 or something. It's got a pretty long range, and it's got a cast time on it. You won't see a lot of cast times in the game, but this one does have a cast time because we kind of wanted to highlight the feeling of standing back somewhere, marking on somebody, and then shooting with an arrow, sniping them essentially, and then having that person be your core area or your mark. And then this ability group also highlights how abilities can work together in many instances.
It's important to note here too that I realize none of you have used this, but you can easily draw an example. If you were to say this ability has a cast time, how are you going to get
around a pillar? You can break down that pillar or break down that wall if you're so allowed in your game. And then battle rush. So I mentioned that we would talk about how the camera has changed some certain abilities. Battle rush, in the keynote we showed you dashing forward. Well, that actually dashes you in whatever direction the camera's facing, which if you think about it is a really big departure from a lot of other games. So I can, in Landmark, you can jump and then double jump and then battle rush up to the top of something. And so it's almost like a heroic movement ability in itself. And it really differentiates the person wielding a soldier's blade above and beyond something that's not, right? Because you're just that much more mobile than somebody else. And it also does some other things that are important for being durable and aggressive. That's really, it's really one of the
It's really funny to watch a combat unfold. The person with the bow up on the tower, he's trying to perch the warrior. The warrior looks up and down and kills him. It's pretty funny. And it's incredibly fun to play. So I'm going with each one of these abilities, one of these weapons, having abilities that are fun to play.
Last is the Conjur staff. The Conjur staff is, it's like it makes you feel like a caster, right? It's a high risk versus reward. It's dangerous. It's sort of a medium range. Energy burst is sort of the crux, or it's what everything builds off of in this item. Energy burst is like an arcane shotgun, is what we like to call it. It shoots out 9 bolts and they all start from a single point. And then they spread out over time. So if you get in close to somebody, you can do a significant amount of damage. And say it's about 4 or 5 times more damage than you shoot right on top of them. But it doesn't do defenses like some of the other items might. It in fact gives you no defenses. So it's a little more dangerous to do that. But if you want to take that risk where you're trying to test some of the wares, you can really build them up quickly. So I think gravity shock is one of those instances where you can see somebody running towards you and you want to keep them away from you, or you want to keep them close to you if you're so we actually, like I was saying earlier, if there are no classes and we want to have lots of different play styles, as we discussed before, we are going to have more weapons, right? And we plan on creating a lot of weapons. That's sort of the expansion model here. We're going to be creating weapons over time. We're going to get to some examples of weapons that we'll be creating. And then also weapon ability tweaking. So we're going to be tuning and tweaking this stuff quite a bit. When we said that we're getting this stuff in your guys' hands as soon as possible, as soon as you can, we want to hear your feedback. We want to hear what you have to say about, hey, this guy doesn't understand, this guy, this needs tweaking, these abilities aren't interesting, or any of those things. We're more, hopefully, these things are really fun. But we want to hear your feedback. We want to tweak these things so that will also kind of as an example, you guys saw the Inferno Edge weapon set. You guys think that was pretty cool? Woo! So this is just one example of the sorts of weapons that we're going to be expanding on in the future. And these will be designed similarly to the other ones. They'll have flavors, they'll have goals that you really want to work towards. And if you notice, this is the first set that we actually have shields on, whether we have a shield on. And so that's going to allow you to have high defense. And I put fiery here as something that we're aiming towards. which should be obvious given it's a fire sword, fire shield. But we have particular flavors of these things that we really want to expand on. And Brian's actually going to touch on how we do that. I didn't want to go into too much disability on that, but look at this. These are the abilities that are attached to it right now. With this item not being released initially, these could change over time. So just so we're aware that they are not this is what was happening. So Ignite did damage to the added dot and Scorch did damage to the corridor and burnt whoever was standing there. Also stunned them for a little bit of extra offense. So you get stunned and then we're on fire.
Extra offense is always good.
Yeah. What was the other day? Super fun or something like that. Anyway, so that's what the first part does. These are some shots of some of the items that will be coming. Some of these were in the next keynote. We'll be sharing some of those art assets with these, just like the other things. We'll have unique play styles associated with them. You'll be able to use these in Landmark to build your own eventually. And then we said this before, we are
fire the laser.
Anyway, so these are just examples. We have sword with shield on the left and then laser guns, right? So it's not just fantasy style combat. You're going to be able to get out and burn each other with lasers because that's what always look for. And then there's this guy that we're going to be turning into a weapon, laser cannon. So if you like to laser cannon people, it's sort of like the Pulverizer for people. This is another thing we have in the future, and so we're really going to be expanding and broadening the scope of all the things that you guys can do as far as lessons. So now I'm going to turn it over to Ryan here, and he's going to talk about some more appetites.
So Man has talked a lot about weapons, but you also need armor. So initially we're going to be launching with the weapons control. Later on down the line, we're going to start opening up or releasing armor feature as well. But armor is more than just the items that you wear. Armor is also a resource. It's basically an additional layer of defense on top of your health. And this is an example of how that is going to look in game. And so you can see here health on the right and armor on the left. The reason for that is armor is a small health pool basically that regenerates quickly, which is useful for creating strategic situations basically.
You can get into testing water, right? You get into, and that wasn't a bad idea for me to do that. So you can get back out and it will regenerate. It's much more dynamic, much faster. And we like armor because when you equip a shield, you should get more armor now. Other games handle passive mitigation stat, increases, decreases. But we really want it to be, I look on that shield and I just got a big chunk of more armor and it feels more reinforced.
Right, and a lot of this mechanic has to do with the fact that we want you to be self-sustaining in combat, right? We don't want you to rely on sort of the whole dedicated healer thing that we talked about not having in one. And so armor sort of provides that, right? With armor, if you take damage, right, and you are dropped into your health, you know that if you can break away from combat and you can get your armor to regenerate, that you can get back in there. Or if you have abilities that regenerate your armor, you aren't reliant on somebody else to do that for you.
Yeah, so we're looking to put it sort of in your guys' hands as far as how you survive in combat and that sort of thing. That's absolutely not to say that we won't have people, or rather, we'll go the other way. We will have people that will be able to help you. Armor doesn't exclude the possibility of people healing or people helping you regenerate your armor or stay in the fight. But really, we want to put it in your hands as far as, hey, I get out in combat and I know when I'm in danger and when I need to move. I know the limits of my armor resource, and I have responses. Everybody has a response as to what they can do in combat. It's not, that healer didn't heal me. That's frustrating, and I don't have any recourse.
Or what's worse, right? Or what's worse is and this is for both games, for Landmark and Conquest Next. You log in and your your healer friend is not on because he's bringing your family in or something, and you can't play. And that's not our goal is to avoid those situations. We still want to make those support classes feel significant in combat and not make them a requirement for you to participate in the game.
This just holds true for both games, and so you'll see this in as well.
Okay, so keywords. This is something else that has been talked about in previous panels and whatnot. But this is a system that's actually going to be used first in landmark, and you're going to see it on your weapons and your armor. And that is going to be powerful, and that is going to let you combine certain sets of gear to create interesting combinations. So, for example, we showed you the Inferno, right? It's got the fire keyword. If you were to get a piece of armor that also has fire keyword, and that piece of armor, it says something like, when you do fire damage, you stop, or you do bonus damage, or something like that, right? It allows us to create these sort of sets of gear that you can collect and then get cool benefits.
And something that starts
lightning is
something I like to add is that the keywords won't necessarily be the same. I don't have the same graphics up here, but they're not necessarily going to be the same because we can branch out in different territories in landmark that aren't necessarily there in other places. So, fire doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to light something on fire. It could be energy, or it could be something like that, like a laser gun that lights things on fire. That's different than fire building, for instance. And so while we have these graphics up here to show you guys how to connect them, we have room to grow in other areas that we're going to do it.
So keywords also encourage weapon styles, in the sense that certain keywords will have certain benefits.
Right, I mean, they have some sort of inherent benefit. It's really about, in terms of with these weapon sets, we wanted you to be able to, I was speaking with somebody here in the audience earlier, and they were talking about classes and what Landmark would have. And I said, you won't be, in Landmark, you won't be a cleric, you won't be a warrior, whatever you are. You'll be I'm an Inferno Edge wielder. And that's going to mean something. Or, my build is Inferno Edge plus the mechanics to it. Making stuff up here, but that combination will mean something to players in Landmark because of the keywords and the build that is produced by combining these keywords.
Right. So this falls into the fact you can wear anything, right? And we're going to provide you with lots of different types of equipment that have lots of different combinations, right? Things that you can combine together to give you access to just a number of play styles when you are playing the game. So we've, in the keynote, we showed off, we talked about
we're talking about the different play styles you have with something like this armor, and it benefits you playing in range. There'll be lots of other types of armor that will do different types of benefits and really promote a type of gameplay. And if you like that gameplay with the specific items you can combine those, especially if they have proper keywords, and make a build that is to your liking.
Yeah, so you guys have already seen these ones, but we just wanted to go through them really quickly. They'll have play styles like this medium armor, for instance, that will allow you to move. We're actually looking at adding costs to heroic movement a little bit, and we have the goals of saying, hey, you can, when you are not in combat, you should feel pretty free to move around and have fun because, I don't know about you guys, but I love heroic movement. I love jumping around and doing all that stuff. But when I go to a game that doesn't have heroic movement, I feel like constrained to the earth, right? I'm like, what's happening? I should be free. And so, we still want to have that, but in combat, we want to tone it down a little bit so that things aren't totally crazy. And so this item will, this sort of item, this sort of armor will allow you to open up that movement a little bit more. Not to say we're not removing, we aren't removing heroic movement from combat, we are taking them out. And then, this heavy armor, heavy bowling armor you see, will have extra defenses and stuff like that. But there are actually quite a few different play styles that we're going to be encouraging. We're going to make So it was
It's really nice. It's gonna be nice. Combat's gonna be nice and
fun
simple.
with some of the
And you're gonna have to really figure out like
but anyway, there are just a plethora of items that we want to do. So it's not,
especially with the
missing
competition
out on
with
things
weapons.
because there aren't classes in Landmark. It's just doing things a different way. And the playstyles are a large part of that. It's showing you that, hey, we want to build a guy around somebody that, likes to leave the law or likes to do stuff a lot. Or whatever it is. You can do that. You can find a mechanic that you enjoy and you can focus in on it and get items to go along with it.
So along that line, these are
Where's the Viking?
These are concepts we've been working on for different types of armor that we plan on using in the future. And the idea is that we will theme benefits that these armor provides based on sort of what they look like. Right? So we have the gladiator proving armor, right? So that guy would probably have many benefits that allow him to close in and brawl with you up close, whereas down in the bottom corner we have the sort of wizard, sort of archetypical wizard outfit, right? So that would probably be more of a long range or
You can say large range, it's okay.
very high damage benefits, something like that. Since Landmark is genre agnostic, you need to do really cool things like this. This is the concept for a gunslinger outfit, right? So it's pretty awesome.
So you see a lot of these armors, but we don't have the notion that this is heavy armor. We want to decouple the look of something from its function. So this could be a really good armor for someone who likes medium range armor, or who likes heroic weapons, or someone who likes 6-shooters, right? However that works. So that colony suit, you saw the big heavy armor colony suit. That'd be a really good idea for a Conjur we're going to talk about, who's wearing the Conjur staff, because he wants to be up close. But the Conjur probably has to compete with other armor that may increase close range damage to weapons. So you get to choose: do I want to be safer up close, or do I want more damage up close? And you get to tailor it and do that.
So we think that we'll actually come up with quite a few interesting and cool scenarios. And not we really think you guys will come up with a lot of cool scenarios that will, I'm a gunslinger that wields laser pistols, and that's what I do, and that's really cool. And we hope that you guys can find combinations and stuff that you really enjoy playing, and that you can sort of, you have a vision in your head and you can work towards it. And so we hope to provide the option for the life to do so.
So in addition to weapons and armor, we're also going to have combat accessories. And this is just another item swapping community to provide you with cool keyword combinations or additional passive benefits, combat stats for specializations, or what we talked about if you wanted to be a related wielder, right? You have stats specifically for that to help you out there.
So one of the crazy. So one of the things we've talked about before is stats. We don't really want the game to be a crazy number crunching game, right? We don't want you guys to focus on what's the threshold for armor penetration, or how do I work the right amount of crit rating into there and all that sort of stuff. We don't want it to just be a number crunching game. There will be number crunching opportunities, trust me. But we want the complication not to lie in how the stats function, but more to lie in how your abilities work together and how your accessories work with your playstyles and your armor and stuff like that. And so there will be stats on items, but they won't be the main focus. You won't just be, grinding out for an extra 3 strength or whatever it is on your armor piece of gear. So.
Right, we'll be looking more for keywords and passive bonuses. And to give you sort of an example of what we're talking about there, these are sort of some mock-up ideas of what sort of accessories we might release in the future. Right? So the belt construction, being 20% damage if you have not been damage. That is a passive benefit that sort of changes the way that you play. So this would be something you probably want to combine with like a long-range playstyle. So maybe you wearing light armor that increases your spells, and you then equip the belt with destruction in order to combo those things together. Right? And then we have energy coil. You take 25% less damage from opponents and you can be snared. So if you have a weapon that has a lot of crouching form, then you would actually want to equip this particular accessory to combo those effects together. But that's basically catering to your playstyle. And that's how we're going to basically give you all these crazy options to combine whatever way you want.
And the energy coil, so there's thunder staff. The thunder staff has a snare field. Well, you get this, and then you start dropping snare field on yourself. Sure. And then anyone who closes with you, you're taking 45% less damage. So this becomes a great defensive item for a person who has a stun, or a snare. We'll have lots of different choices for you that are significant. Oh, I've got to have that item because of the way I can.
Yeah, the belt of destruction would be a great item for one of our weapons, probably the bow, right? Because if you sit back and snipe people, you don't intend on taking damage a whole lot. And so this just, hey, it's almost like a 320% damage. That's pretty cool. I hear that's better than the +3 dex.
Push the archers.
Exactly. So all of this is what combines together to give you your character. Right? We're talking about the abilities that you get with your weapons, the bonuses that you get your armor, the keywords and passive benefits that you also get from accessories. Combine these together, and you have this huge variety of builds that you can create from the items that we are giving you guys.
I have notes in front of me, and I'm like, what's next? It's cool.
So you all know monsters are coming, eventually, right? And so this is, you've seen actually some of these. The fire fungi, the chomper, the necrozoa, and the scorpion bush, and our various wisps. All very deadly creatures that you'll definitely want to have effective character builds from item combinations to fight in the future.
All right, so we'll move on to the next one. All right, so David mentioned this yesterday in the keynote. Thank you. Good morning. Dave mentioned this in the keynote. And this is the beginning of our Game Master system. And these game set objects allow you to when we provide those game set objects to you, play different games within the plane. So the very beginning of this system is going to be PvP. We're going to give you a couple of these, well, we're going to give you 3 to start with. The deathmatch, the team deathmatch, and the control point. So let's walk through how these work really quickly. You lay down your game table, which is our little table with dice, and that is going to bring up a UI for you. And it's going to say, here are the required props because of the rule, because of the game that's attached to that table. Here are the required props that you need. There's 0 guesswork for you to do. And then we say, okay, well, let's say that in creating a control point, you have a single control point that's required, and a Team 1 and Team 2 respawn. And we plan on having up to 8 teams. A lot of things are coming down the road. That's one of them. And then you don't ever have to have those objects in your inventory. You don't have to cracking them or anything like that. You simply hit the place button, and that appears on your cursor. And you place it wherever you want. And then once the required props are placed, you can enable the game. And all that system is automated. The minute you walk onto a claim that has a game that is valid, that has been enabled, you can join the game. It will put you in a queue. It will wait for the minimal amount of players, and then the game will start. You guys saw some of that yesterday during the keynote. Let me be very clear here, because I know there's a lot of contention about the PvP versus PvE and how we're tackling these things first. And Michael explained the good reasons why we're doing PvP. But it is our plan very rapidly to include PvE content in these game set options. So you want to make a wave battle. So it's your group of people versus waves of NPCs, and we're going to give you the ability to set that up. And then to extend that farther, right? So PvP content will press for here. To extend that farther, we're going to be able to allow you to create these yourself. So let me explain how they're created on our side first. Each game object is basically a rule set. It's a set of rules. We have the rule is the most atomic unit in the system, and a rule might be an objective that is capture and hold, or capture, right? And or it could be track kills, or it could be any number of things. And when we make a game for you to play, we will combine those various rules to create the game itself. Eventually, you will be able to create those yourself. You'll have an editor. You'll be able to create unique games, be it PvP or PvE. You'll have access to all these rules. You'll have an editor that allows you to drag these things in, and that system will be very automated for you. If you want to make a capture and hold versus the NPCs, that also is a team deathmatch, and there's a race element to it, which would be weird. But you could feasibly do that, I guess. And then you can publish that and you can say, hey, friends, I've made this crazy game, you should come and play. And this is just the beginning of a much larger system that we want to give to you, which allows you to make start with games, and it moves to content. We want you to be able to make your own content. So these rule set objects are just the beginning of the game master system that will come. Eventually you'll be able to make content, dungeons, all the things that you want to be able to make, and that we want you to be able to make. So movers are fun. Movers are sort of our grand category for all those things that move you around. You're going to see teleporters. Teleporters work really well, and we think that this is going to add a very unique sense to your areas. Combine this with a rule set object, or sorry, a rule set game, and you've got all sorts of fun. You've got these things as traps potentially. Initially, we're going to just have 3 different models of these things. There are 1 model for each type. So the teleporter looks like this. The moving platform looks like that. But eventually, we're going to have lots of these different models. You're going to have more sci-fi versions, more rustic or ancient-looking ones, and then ones that will work better as traps, because we want these to function as traps as well. So our flinger This is a fantasy version of our flinger, but we want lots of flingers. Oh, look at that. We want these to be used as traps as well. So we want big models that you can hide discreetly in your area, and then it'll shoot people off. And as Dave mentioned yesterday, you can adjust a lot of the parameters of these things. The moving platform, for instance, you can adjust the pause speed, how long it pauses each dock. You can adjust the speed at which it travels. So if you want to make a Mario style jumping puzzle, you can make one of those in your this adds a whole bunch to the games that you can make. So you mentioned a PvP game where you've got to get to the object, and the only way to get up there